We all want to have healthy plants, but sometimes we notice something's wrong with our plants, like they're sick. They may have a disease, and we may need to figure out what's causing the problem. In this video, we're going to talk about plant disease diagnosis. Howdy, I'm Dr. Greg Church. I'm a plant pathologist, and I'm here to help you. In this video, I will walk you through the steps of plant disease diagnosis. Proper plant disease diagnosis is essential to determine an effective control measure. It's best to start with a logical, scientific, and common sense approach. Try not to start out with preconceived ideas because that may lead you down the wrong path. Keep an open mind and allow observations, evidence, and tests to point you in the right direction. Be observant, patient, and inquisitive. Okay, we're going to go through the whiteboard and walk through the different steps for plant disease diagnosis. We're going to start off with plant identification. It's best to know the characteristic of the plant species or variety that you're dealing with. Identify the plant to the most detailed level possible. Determine the requirements of this species. For instance, is it full sun or partial shade or shade? Does it require acidic soil or does it tolerate alkaline soil? Is it drought tolerant or does it require frequent irrigation? It's important to understand the normal appearance and growth of this particular plant. That way you know what is abnormal. Our next step is performing a health inspection. This is where we're going to check over the entire plant, including the leaves, flowers, stems, fruit, and roots. You need to observe the form and growth of the plant. Take any notes of anything that's abnormal. Our next step is to take a look at the symptom characteristics. You need to describe the symptoms of the abnormal condition, including the color, shape, and if the symptoms are interfering with the normal functions of the plant. Take note of the tissues that are affected and the different parts of the plant that are affected. Do the observed symptoms match any known symptom that occurs in plants? Our next step is to look for signs of a causal agent. Make observations of biological structures that are growing on the plant. You may need to use a magnifying glass or a microscope to observe these structures. In many cases, at the site of infection or the symptoms, plant diseases or microbes will have some sign of their growth. It could be mycelium growing on the surface of the plant. It could be sporulating structures that are protruding from the leaf surface. And these may be observable with the naked eye, or you may need a magnifying glass. Our next step is to look at the patterns of the problem. Take note of when and how the symptoms developed, and if they occurred over time or all at once. Describe the characteristics of the site that the plant is growing in. Look for distribution of the symptoms within the plant. Symptoms caused by biological pathogens usually are scattered throughout the plant or throughout a planting, and usually gradually occur over time. Uniform distribution of symptoms may indicate an abiotic or non-living factor of the environment or cultural issue. In the case of abiotic and non-living factors that cause disease, they usually appear all at once and do not spread and affect more than one type of plant. Our next step is to consider the past environment and cultural practices that have affected the plant. Ask questions about the plant. Know the environmental conditions, including the soil, water, light, and temperature. It's important to take note of any changes or exposure to extreme temperatures, rain, drought, and other weather conditions. You need to know how the plant was taken care of and what it received, including irrigation, fertilization, soil amendments, pruning, herbicides, and pesticides. In the next step, we need to consider all the possible causes of the symptoms. Usually, the type of symptom will indicate whether it's abiotic or non-living, or biotic and caused by an infectious pathogen. It's important to consider researching the common diseases or problems that affect a particular species. There's a high chance that one of these is the cause of the problem. How you might go about doing that is to find the official name of the symptom that describes the problem, and then search that with the name of the plant. And this usually will provide you with a list of suspects. And then you need to match the described symptoms for that problem with what you're experiencing. The next step is to perform diagnostic tests. A diagnostic test can help provide evidence to support the proposed causal agent. Diagnostic tests can help provide evidence to support the diagnosis and identify the proposed causal agent. Researching more about the potential causal agent will often provide information on how to perform diagnostic procedures in the field. In some cases, you may incubate the affected tissue to encourage the pathogen to produce observable structures such as spores to aid in the identification of the pathogen. Collecting and sending samples to a plant disease diagnostic lab may be necessary to confirm the presence of a biological pathogen. Typically, each state has an extension service that provides plant disease diagnosis. There are also private laboratories that provide these services. The next step is to finalize your diagnosis. In this step, we're going to consider all the potential causes of the symptoms. It's important to consider getting a second opinion. For instance, hiring a professional to confirm your diagnosis and receive additional recommendations. Without professional assistance or diagnostic lab results, plant disease diagnosis is not definitive, and it may just be an educated guess. However, in many cases, one problem is just a secondary symptom of other more complex problems, especially for trees, shrubs, and perennials. In addition, disease complexes can develop in plants. This is where one disease or problem leads to another infection of other secondary pathogens. Usually, a highly experienced and educated professional will be able to understand these interactions of multiple factors that lead to disease. Plant disease treatments require additional knowledge, skills, and specialized equipment to provide effective results. In the next video, I will present information on different plant disease control strategies and treatments. Thank you for watching this video. I'd appreciate it if you click the like button and subscribe to the channel. I will be producing additional videos on plant pathology, horticulture, gardening, and other topics related to plants. Thank you for watching.